What's going on, everybody? This is your man Calvin coming back at you. And today, this is late than I normally would do this. But, this has been a really hectic day for me. But I wanted to come on here and talk to you all real briefly. A year ago, I did a live and was talking about being devalued. Okay. And it revisited some things. Now, obviously, a year ago, I was in a much different position, and a lot of things has transpired from that day to this one. Okay, globally, nationally, locally, and of course, personally. Okay, but what I want to do is do some encouragement from anybody that watched this. If you watch this, always put hashtag replay. And thank you, Jose, for joining me. And just let me know where you're tuning in from, as always. Okay? Well, let me talk about being devalued. Okay? A lot of people suffer being devalued, mainly in the workplace. Okay? And what brought this live from last year to my attention was a teammate of mine with a different opportunity back then, saying some of the things that she had to go through because she had a child that was sick, and the job's policy was, no, you can't take off for your child. Okay, and her thing is, if I gotta walk off this job to take care of my child, take care of my child, then I will do what I need to do. Okay, and I applauded her for that. Now that I remember that lie, because basically she didn't know what was going to happen. She didn't have a way to replace that income at that very moment. Okay, but she knew that she was not going to allow herself to be treated that way. Okay, and I always say this: people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. Okay, all right. So I remember going back. Now things are coming back to my memory because I talked about this very thing, because I had a similar experience. And mind you, this was a part-time job that I had. Okay, I was like, okay, well, look, if I work this part-time job for a couple months, excuse me, I worked this part-time job a couple months, the money that I get will allow me to do a few other things. Okay, so I did that. Okay, and for a while it was nice, but the problem that happened is I ran into a personality conflict with the foreman who I can't explain it because me and him talked about some of the same things that we're talking about. People talking to you like a dog, like you're not an adult. And he's like, I don't like people talking to me like that. So I assumed that he knew, not to go there with me. But I guess his management said, you need to address this. But he still could have handled it much differently than he did. Because all he had to do was just say, pull me over to the side and say, hey, I'm getting this pressure from management. You got to decide what you want to do. If you're going to stay on this job, this is what needs to transfer. You can't miss any more time due to, family time, or that. In that case, it was my main job. But he chose to play the tough man and called me in right before, the little job. Now, keep in mind, the job was only 2 hours, maybe 2.5 to 3 at the most. And what happened was he called a meeting, and he had this little nice, it's only a part-time job. This is no full-time income. He had this little notebook and all that. So I'm like, and he called the other supervisors. So I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, you missed too much time from work. And we can't have that. Okay. And I said, well, the time that I missed, I said, the time that I missed, what was that due to? He's like, well, you said your job said you had to work overtime. Right. So what's the issue? Well, you got to decide. This job don't work that way. You got to be attendance. So I said, well, let's do some simple math. And I told him, you're paying $8.25 or whatever it was that I was making, and I have a full-time job that was paying over 40K. So I said, which one do you think is going to win the battle? Because I can replace an $8.25 part-time job quicker than I can replace over a 40K income a year. Okay, so that put him in his place. And I said all that to say this. Okay, you cannot allow, and the young lady that I mentioned, she stepped out on faith, and right now she's actually in the same opportunity that I'm in. Okay, all right. So listen, don't allow yourself to be devalued. Okay, there's a lot of people that just go through life taking things because they feel they have to. They got children in school, and I understand that. I had young children, okay, at one time, a family that's depending on you for everything. You don't want to let them down, okay? You want to keep that income coming, even though you're being treated horribly, okay? But at some point, and I always tell people this, you got one life to live, just one. So you're going to have to make it count. You can allow yourself to be dictated to and live life on somebody else's terms, okay, and have that little security, or you can take a risk, demand that you're treated much better, okay, and take that risk, okay? Maybe you don't know how the next meal is going to work out. Maybe you don't know how you're going to replace a $40,000 job income. But if you know that you're tired of being tired and you're ready for a change, okay, then sometimes you got to step out on faith. Now, I started not to do this live because I normally do it early in the day, but I had so much going on and my emotions are kind of all over the place right now. But I was able to pull myself together because I want to whoever watches this, may not be somebody that's watching right now, okay? But there's going to be somebody that's going to see this live, and it's going to help them make a decision for yourself and your family. Listen, let me tell you something. You all know that I'm involved in an opportunity that's changing, impacting a lot of lives, okay? And I always call it the online happy hour whenever we have a webinar, which is in about an hour and a half from now, okay? All right, now you all heard me lay the spiel, okay? This is just an invitation, okay? I'm not one of these entrepreneurs that like to beg and pry and try to convince you to do something that you're more than capable of doing yourself, okay? And that's one of the things that I hated with sales, because you got to. I know how to overcome those objections. Hey, Deborah, thanks for joining in. But I never felt that it was necessary to convince another grown person, mind them, okay? Unless they got questions, they're on the fence. That's something different. Well, why am I trying to convince another grown person to do something when they got everything in front of them, okay? So listen, you already know there's no selling, there's no recruiting, there's none of that, okay? None of that. We have an online happy hour. It's a celebration, okay? 7 o'clock. How many times have you gone to a happy hour, okay? You may not even have any money to buy no drinks, okay? But you go there anyway, and you meet up with what we call besties these days, and y'all talk and you reminisce on some old times, and before you know it, you done had a better time. You feeling better than what you came. When we have this online webinar, that's exactly what it is. I've always left better than what I came, Let me tell you, because we have a lot of live testimonies of the results that this opportunity, the lives that it has impacted and has changed. Okay, you hear real emotion, raw emotion. People that have never been successful in any online opportunity is being successful in this one, because it's a little different. Okay, the most different thing that you can ever get involved in. And one of the things that you need to be successful online is having a good support system. Okay, there's no divisiveness within this group. It's all a one for all and all for one atmosphere. Okay, and it's very difficult to beat that. And when you got people pulling for you and you pulling for them, oh, the atmosphere is right and success is on its way. Okay, all right. And let me tell you, you are rewarded for what you do, not what somebody else's do. Okay, don't have to worry about anybody what I call piggyback on what you do, getting a certain percentage. You get what you work for, and it has nothing to do with an upline. Okay, all right. And I got people that's on here that will vouch for that. Okay, all right. So 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is about an hour and a half from now. Meet me there. Or we like to say this: don't meet me there, beat me there. Okay, I'm going to put the information down here in the webinar. And listen, I got something even more special, because, listen, you know, you go to that happy hour, you're a little bit more happy when you got a little extra jingle in your pocket. Okay, got notified that I got to pay out. Okay, so this is how this system works. Okay, you too can have success. Okay, all right. So that's all I'm going to say for now. I got to get off of here, but you all have a blessed evening. And remember, your value is priceless. Don't let anybody determine your value, and don't let nobody tell you that you're devalued.